Hi, Gary here. You know, an old sage told me when I started in business that all progress starts by telling yourself the truth. And isn't that really true? For you, millennials, there's these 10 essential facts to kind of set the table going forward as to building good, strong money habits and what you're dealing with as you move down the road. So without further ado, let's start. Number one, you are 25% of the population, 83 million of you, and you're pretty much in the workforce now because it's between ages 18 and 35 roughly, and that's starting to make a big impact on the economy and will make a big difference down the line. So what you do as a group will make a big difference in what happens in this economy going forward. Second one, 47% of you between the ages of 25 and 34 as of 2013 had a post-secondary degree. That's an associate's, a bachelor's, or a master's degree or beyond. And that's quite high. In fact, that's the highest in history. So you're a very educated group of folks. However, the third fact is, according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, this country is 21 out of 22 in numeracy. Now think of numeracy as mathematical literacy. Yeah, it's that bad four-letter word, math. We're just not good at it. Now that's important because most financial stuff is based on understanding the math, working with the numbers to get there. So it really requires some literacy, some updating, some understanding, some education to be able to do that. Number four, you have over $1 trillion of debt in student loans as of 2014. It's the second greatest debt category for consumers. So it's a growing problem. I know a lot of you realize that. It's a huge thing. In fact, it's as of 2014, about $27,000 was the average debt level. Now, there's another fact that goes with this, number five, that has partial to do with it, and that is the fact that since 2000, there's been less and less workers from high school and college working and studying. In fact, it's dropped off significantly. And part of that in the past was helping to pay for college costs. Now, I get it, college costs have gone up much faster than inflation. It's been much tougher to pay for college in the last decade or so. But still, there's been this kind of bifurcation that has not helped the situation. So it puts you squarely in a bad situation right out of school to have to pay off a lot of heavy debt. Number six, 1/3 of the workforce has experienced, that's you, millennials, two really bad down markets and one severe recession in the last decade and a half. And that has really not helped the psyche of young people, millennials in particular. And in fact, what that really shows up in is fact number seven. 52% of the money that you have as millennials as investment is in cash. I'm saying it again, in cash. Whereas the entire rest of the population has 26% in cash. So when you think about that, it's double the amount in cash. And cash isn't going to make you any money. It just sits there stagnant. In fact, it goes backwards because of inflation. Understandably, because of this bad environment that we've been in for the last decade and a half, it just doesn't seem like you can make any money in the markets. But that's really where the bulk of the money is made for folks over time. So it's very important to get an understanding of what happens when you put the majority of money in cash for extended period of times. Short term, okay. Long term is disastrous. Number eight, you're getting married later. In 1960, 70% of the 20 through 34-year-olds were married, and now that's down to 30%. Well, there's a couple issues there. The first is two-income families, and there's more so of that now than there was in 1960, can make it and can save more than one-income families can, and that does make a big difference. And then starting later in life in marriage with children, those, which they're very expensive, can really delay the accumulation of more capital in the later years. And now we know, and this has happened for decades, that people in their 50s, that's where they tend to accumulate the most of their money and make the biggest difference in their net worth. So pushing and delaying that stuff off and causing more expenses later doesn't work real well. Number 9, home ownership. I think most everybody knows this, but if you go back to 1980, in this age group, you would have roughly 18% of the people owning homes. That's down to 13%. And think about it. In 1980, the home ownership rates were higher. Mortgages were 10, 12, 13%. They're down to 3, 4%. So there's some real differences going on here, and the cost of housing is a little bit more inflation adjusted. But it also means that if you wait longer to purchase a home, that it takes that many more years to pay the home off, which means it extends the time frame as to when you can start building more capital. So it does push that off. And number 10, the Employee Benefits Research Institute indicates that 51% of workers have employee-sponsored retirement plans. And those are huge, because if you're able to put money away pre-tax and you have a match on that money by many employers on a pre-tax basis, the numbers are astounding. You know, all these areas I've just spoken about, I could spend hours and hours discussing, and I will be doing that in each one of these individually. But the key thing is this: short-term, this is not an issue. Long-term, it's a huge issue. You know Social Security is not going to be there at the level it is right now. You know there's no more employee-sponsored defined benefit pensions that you will receive. You know it's taking longer to get on board and move down through this economy the older and older that you get. So it's a matter of understanding what's happening with you, being literate about it, and having the ability to really strike at multiple areas here by being smart and making good decisions about your money. So hang in there. We're going to have programs coming out going forward that are going to look at roughly 50 tenets around money, and they're going to really help you significantly get your arms around how all this works, and to be able to do it on your times and your terms, to learn and to address these issues. Like, should I be saving more? How do I invest in the market? Should I buy or lease or pay cash for an auto? How do I pay my student loans off? And go on and on and on. Talked about Reddit a couple times ago. There's just lots of issues, and hopefully those will all come together and coalesce, help you make really good decisions. So until next time, enjoy.